The digital ID is a shit test. Just today, this whole digital ID shit's come out from the government, which, if you've been following my channel, I've talked about CBDCs and how they were going to push all of this in the past. This was always coming down the road, and now it's pretty much here. But I'm not really concerned at all, and neither should you be. And the reason why is because the digital ID is just a shit test. The digital ID is what they wanted to do if they were going to get more than about 85% compliance. And during around 2020, early 2021, when everyone was a complete retard and everyone just completely agreed with whatever Boris Johnson put out on television, back then, they really could have done it. And, people like me were actually kind of worried back then that they were going to push all of that through and that it was going to work. Now, I really don't give a fuck. I really don't care because it's not going to work. You're going to have half of the population at this point vehemently against this. The only way they could theoretically make this digital ID thing work is if they somehow infiltrated the flag protests and anti-migrant protests and places like that, and they somehow got these movements to consider the digital ID to be a good thing, and I just do not see it happening. I know what angle the government is coming at from this. They're thinking, oh, well, if we just tell them that, the digital ID will stop the boats, well, their whole thing is stop the boats, so surely they'll be on board with it. No, they won't. I mean, we're kind of asking communists to not be retarded here, but they are being monumentally retarded because they have completely misunderstood the fact that if you go to these protests on the street, you will see that everyone is just completely against anything that the government puts out now. They have lost the trust of the public, which is exactly what we needed to happen. Now that the public do not trust the government at all, that means this digital ID shit is never going to go anywhere. People are just going to resist it, and it's going to cause more and more problems for the system. You'll get all kinds of headlines online about how this is the end, it's over, we've lost, they're bringing the digital IDs out. They can roll it out as much as they fucking want. Nobody's going to use them. It's the same in China. China got a high uptick in terms of people using these digital IDs. But even then, China's having problems with getting everyone to use it. And there's a big subset of the population in China who just aren't really doing it and are completely rebelling against the CCP. We're going to have at least half of the country here just not complying with this digital ID stuff. And that's not even to address the immigrants themselves, who are obviously not going to take part in this as well. So the whole thing is going to be a failure, and it's going to be a hilarious failure to watch. Do not be worried about this. What the digital ID thing is really going to do is it's going to show us who out there is a retard and who isn't, if we didn't already know. I kind of already know who is a retard out there and who isn't, but this will really cement it in stone. With this, people who bought into the digital ID, we can go, oh, okay, you're a retard and you'll just do anything because you're a sheep and you're useless. This COVID was kind of like the beta test for shit testing. This is full release. This is going to be who is a complete retard who will just follow the devil into hell and who is going to stand on their own 2 feet. It's as simple as that.